Good evening, and on this Saturday evening, May the 9th, 2026, welcome to Seasons of Our Creator. This is a private study group directing your attention to heaven's celebrations of life, and we, of course, have been given as much information as possible regarding that initial celebration of life identified as the memorial of creation. Introducing the seasons of our Creator is not all that easy to do. Most within our era are not familiar with the celebrations of life, feast of celebration, festivals of joy, and certainly not the weekly memorial of creation is not all that understood. Many have tried to connect with it, and too many, unfortunately, have used the memorial of creation as some sort of a control mechanism to exercise control and unauthorized authority over the lives of their fellow man or others who are also identified as heaven's crowning achievement. And I encourage you through the various groups that we present here at Crowning Achievement and the Academy of Life, do not do that. You'll have enough of a challenge in gaining full control over your own animalistic nature and bringing your conduct and behavior into conformity with the will of heaven to get all bogged down in trying to dictate other people to do things that you believe should be done, but you probably aren't able to do them yourself. Hypocrisy is an identifying marker in the leadership that dominates the divisive and the competing political religious movements. When the violations of others is uncovered within these political religious arenas, we find that the authorities are the ones who cover up these violations to protect those who represent the doctrine, the beliefs, and the organizational practices of a particular political religious group in which someone has been charged with violating the rights of others, especially young people. Let's get back into what I got off topic again, which I have been known to do that. Each joyful celebration directs our attention to fulfilling our earthly assignment, which is the teamwork assignment we've been granted. We're also informed that we're made in the image and likeness of our eternal and spiritual source of life, who is our Father in life, who is eternal and spiritual, again, without a physical form. We, in our physical uniforms as living souls, possess the ability to emulate the spiritual essence of our life giver, who is also identified as love. And as I've mentioned many times to you, in the image and in the likeness of our Father in heaven, or our Creator, means that you and I possess the ability to emulate the eternal and spiritual essence of our Father in heaven while we perform our assigned duties. And our duties are basically representative, because if we're to emulate the essence of our Creator, we should be able to connect with what was expressed by our Creator and implement those instructions within time and space, because that's our assignment, to learn. And the physical is an excellent temporary tool that we can use to develop our own spirituality and becoming more like our Father in heaven by using the essence, that eternal and spiritual essence. I'm speaking of the compassion, forgiveness, mercy, and kindness. I'm speaking of that which was expressed from the mouth of our Creator, telling us how to, with heart, soul, and might, to honor the one who gave us life, and beginning with respecting our parents or honoring our parents, and going through those utterances till we get to the last of them, where we try to implement them within time and space. We should be busy. We've been placed in charge of the land, air, and sea creations. We've also been placed in charge of ourselves. That's what overcoming is all about. Not some political, religious, made-up agenda. And we find that each divisive and competing political, religious movement has created its own doctrine, beliefs, and practices, organizational practices, based on the whims and wishes of the one who started the movement. Which leads me into another comment I get in trouble for sometime. Each of these divisive and competing political religious movements are promoting a God made in the image and likeness of the founder of that particular divisive and competing political religious movement. That's why we have so many gods. So don't let anyone try to convince you that we all serve the same God. I'm trying to introduce the God of life through Crowning Achievement and the Academy of Life, showing where we fit in, who our giver of life is as life, and how we can use that same energy of love to produce life at this level, our representative level. Heaven's crowning achievement, you and me. We've been placed in a leadership role, and we're assigned to rule over the land, air, and sea creations, again, while we learn to effectively rule over that part of our nature that is rather nasty at times. We are in control of overcoming or converting our behavior to the will of heaven, while putting that animalistic nature, or the animal soul, as I've been taught, put it in check. We're not, however, assigned or appointed to exercise rulership or lordship over those with whom we will be sharing this precious gift of life. Each crowning achievement, or each junior partner in creating and creations, is encouraged to help one another in conquering that which requires to be controlled, and creating or developing that which will conform to the will of heaven. And again, the will of heaven is what has been recorded as having been presented from the mouth of our Creator. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with what was expressed by our Creator, who is our Father. He wants his offspring, his divine sparks, his living souls, to perfect themselves. I do understand that there are those who have permitted their animalistic behavior to get totally out of control, therefore requiring others to step in and use our legal systems that we've established to keep them under control. Yet the individual remains still responsible for learning how to control that part of human nature requiring him or her to control. The celebrations of life are reminders of our designation as heaven's crowning achievement. They're reminders of our earthly mission, and remind us how to accomplish what was assigned and the purpose for our creation, with the long-term aim clearly expressed from the mouth of our senior partner in creating and in creations. I've discovered that most of our brothers and sisters in life have been misinformed regarding our source of life and our Creator. Too many people have been taught a negative approach or attributed negativity to our Creator. And that's not true. It is man who's the negative one. Our Creator of life, in His presence are joys forevermore. In the kingdom of heaven, we expect all kinds of neat things to happen. It probably takes some time. We're even taught that in the kingdom of our Father in heaven, the establishing of that kingdom on this earth, there will be a totally and different approach to life, that mankind will finally reach a level of maturity where he will say, we do not want to hurt anyone else. We do not want to be drainers of life. We want to be infusers and refreshers of life. And that's what we should have been doing from the very beginning. The weekly day assigned for rest, or the Shabbat or Sabbath, I identify it as the memorial of creation. It is the initial celebration of life, not death, observed to keep you and me focused on that big picture, our goal, our responsibilities, our representative role, the positive things we're to achieve, being a light to the community, making our world a better place in which to live. There's no death focus on any of the celebrations of life. It is man, with his effective and perfect use of fear, anxiety, and guilt-related issues, who has introduced within time and space the sadness, the fear, the anxiety, and all the guilt-related issues. You and I, as Heaven's Crown and Achievement, we're able to identify at our physical position as life. Did you hear that? We can identify as life, and we can learn to effectively use that eternal essence of love in the performance of our duties if we choose to do so. And we're made in the image and likeness of the one who breathed into the nostrils of our first parents, Adam and Eve, or Adam and Eva, that eternal breath of life that resulted in them becoming living souls. We have received that status as well as living souls as we come into this world and we take our own breath of that eternal life. Our physical connection at this temporary academy of life is the school of hard knocks for learning the eternal and spiritual ways and thoughts of the one from whom all life is provided. Our source of being is eternal and spiritual, requiring Heaven's Crown and Achievement to act on those words of life as expressed from the mouth of our Creator, if, at this time, if we wish to learn more about our senior partner in life, and we want to enter into the next phase of life or next course for living. That will not be forced upon us. And it's not a negative thing. If you're ready for something, you're ready for it. If you're not ready for it, our Father in heaven is pretty smart, loving and kind, compassionate, forgiving and merciful, and He'll say, well, when you're ready, check what I've told you. Check what I've encouraged you to do if you want to get to know me as your Creator and as your Father in heaven. But until then, enjoy the ride. The physical instructions originated as divine utterances, statements, and expressions are said to have been expressed from the mouth of our source of life as eternal and spiritual instructions. They did not originate as physical. They were spiritual, and they were translated into the physical, so we in our earth uniforms, our school uniforms for learning, can read it physically and act upon it. Once we act upon these words of life, that have been translated into the physical for us to connect with. We're then able to respond to these instructions that actually are spiritual. And we obtain spiritual understanding by doing what was encouraged for us to do from the mouth of our Creator. Connecting with the weekly memorial of creation is that initial step that we use in connecting the physical to the spiritual. Entering into life starts with making that one-on-one connection to those eternal and spiritual instructions reported to have been made available by our Father in heaven, by our Creator, our senior partner in life. As living souls, it is the eternal and spiritual essence of our Creator that will forever sustain every living soul. In that age of renewal, we anticipate the entire earth taking a break every seventh day to acknowledge not only our one and only source of being, but as we learn of our own great value and tremendous worth to our senior partner in life, who is compassionate, forgiving, mercy, and kind. And that's what I encourage you to learn how to do. Be compassionate. Mimic. Emulate our source of life. Beginning with your family, be compassionate, forgiving, merciful, and kind. We've got a lot to do to make our world a better place in which to live. Those who have put themselves in charge have really messed things up. We have more problems than Carter has little liver pills. Well, he used to have. I don't know if he's still making liver pills or not. We can make our world a better place in which to live. But we have to consult what was expressed from the mouth of the life giver, who in fact is life and understands how love is used to perpetuate life. We represent our giver of life. We represent our Creator. We can create, generate, promote, produce, sustain, share, infuse, refresh life at the physical level if we embrace those words of life which teach us how to be compassionate, forgiving, merciful, and kind. Thank you for stopping by. I've overextended my time again. I do appreciate you. I enjoy answering your questions too. And those who wish to know the references, I'll give them to you. And then you know what you have to do. You don't look to me to be your God in the flesh on this earth. You're responsible for your own actions. You're responsible for your decisions and your choices. I can only direct you in the path where you won't have so many regrets, and that you will learn the way of life and your responsibility as heaven's crowning achievement. Be well and be blessed.